For Hype Plus, I'm Terrence Sims. When you think of Bad Boy Records, you think of one of hip-hop's most influential labels of all time. You think of the man who turned hip-hop culture into a lifestyle. The company's founder, Sean John Combs, aka Diddy. Known for his lavish lifestyle, his vibrant and brash demeanor, and having almost as many jobs as his nicknames, Diddy was a major catalyst in bringing hip-hop to the mainstream. What Diddy created with Bad Boy was bigger than starting a company. He started a movement. Some of hip-hop and R&B's most notable acts got their big break with Bad Boy Entertainment. Freshly discovered artists like Craig Mack, Biggie Smalls, and Faith Evans broke many hip-hop and R&B records, helping Diddy to become one of the richest moguls in Hollywood. But even with all the glitz and glam, the success, the riches, and the legendary music that has come from Bad Boy Records, there has been somewhat of a dark cloud that looms over this label. There's a question that critics and Bad Boy artists themselves have asked. How do you go from breaking records to just plain broke? According to the Los Angeles Times, just 3 years after the launch of Bad Boy Entertainment, Diddy logged $75 million in album sales. And throughout the years, the success of the record company would allow him to start business after business, bringing him very close to a billionaire status today. While Diddy enjoys major prosperity, the artists who helped get him there are starving. Whether or not we can attribute to the financial misfortunes to the mystical Bad Boy curse, which left many Bad Boy artists dead, in jail, or running towards religion, is yet to be determined. But what we do know is that several of them have publicly expressed dissatisfaction with their business dealing with that Bad Boy label. The question that we all wanted to have an answer to for decades is, why do Bad Boy artists go broke? If you ask former rapper Loon, he will say that Diddy's role as an executive and as an artist on the label is what causes conflict. When asked for a particular reason he left Bad Boy, he stated, "It was certain events that were taking place professionally and personally. I believe it was being in the presence of a person like Puff. Puff is a mogul. Puff has a huge impact on hip-hop and a hip-hop history." He says, "To come from underneath that, it's almost like Mission Impossible. It's very difficult for a person to give you your own identity when you're in the presence of somebody who actually is an artist himself." That's where people misconstrue the issues that come under Bad Boy because your CEO is an artist. Loon, who changed his name after converting to Islam, is known for his verses on Puff's I Need a Girl, parts 1 and 2. He says he and Diddy made millions together despite their business hiccups, and he welcomes a reconnection today. Earlier signees, the Lox, had a business dispute with the Bad Boy CEO that was much more gritty and public. Group members Sheek Louch, Styles P, and Jadakiss wanted out of their contract with Diddy because they didn't feel they fit into the label's shiny suit, pop star image, and wanted to go with the more hardcore label, Rough Riders. So Diddy wouldn't budge, which prompted the group to start a full-out campaign calling for the Lox fans to free the Lox. The money, power, respect rappers were eventually let out of their contract, but not before a request to have back their publishing, which led to a heated on-air argument that was a broadcast on Hot 97 in 2005. Styles P told Diddy, "We made one record with you, money, power, and respect. It's 10 years later and you still got half of our publishing. You can't make it justifiable that you deserve half of our publishing." He also alleged you had a bunch of artists whose careers never went right with you. 112 not happy with you, gone. Faith Evans not happy with you, gone. We not happy with you, gone. Mase not happy with you, gone. The dispute ended with Diddy surprisingly signing over the Lox publishing, which was a big deal for the group. Styles and Sheek reappeared on the Angie Martinez show a month later to publicly reconcile. Styles shared that prior to their resolution, the group's living conditions were uncomfortable and implored other rappers to be mindful of their business dealings and to understand their worth as entertainers. When Jadakiss was asked about his reconciliation with Puff, he said, "First it was about getting the publishing back. Once we were able to clean up those issues, everything else was really easy. Because that was really the only issue. Artists, your writing is your life. If you're a writer, no one should really be able to intertwine with that. That's something that you bring, that's your talent. You should be able to get everything that you deserve off your writing." One of the biggest artists on Bad Boy roster also had issues regarding his publishing. Rapper and now Christian minister Mase had extreme commercial success with Bad Boys, earning 6 top 10 Billboard Hot 100 singles at his first debut studio album, Harlem World, went quadruple platinum. Similar to the Lox's struggle, it was no easy task being let out of a contract after 16 years with Bad Boy. Diddy allegedly wanted 50 Cent to pay him $2 million to sign him to G Unit, which halted plans for Mase to be released. This battle ended in 2009 with Mase surprising Diddy on an on-air V103 radio interview with papers in hand that would release him from the Bad Boy label. Diddy signed the one-year release papers on camera, and that was that. After leaving the label for good in 2012, Diddy still had a hold on Mase by not selling him his publishing back. Again, Mase applied public pressure to get his masters back from Diddy. And in response to a Grammy speech Diddy gave addressing the Grammys for ignoring black artists, Mase took to his Instagram to write, "If you want to see a change, you can make a change today by starting with yourself." He added, "Your past business practices knowingly have continued, purposely starved your artists, and been extremely unfair to the very same artists that helped you obtain the Icon Award on the iconic Bad Boy label. You still got my publishing from 24 years ago in which you gave me $20K, which makes me never want to work with you, as any artist wouldn't after you know someone is robbing and tarnishing your name when you don't want to comply with this horrendous business model." Mase alleges that he offered to buy back his masters from Diddy for $2 million, even though he only paid $20K for it in the 90s. But Diddy wouldn't budge unless Mase could surpass the European guy's offer. He continued in his post, "If it's about us owning, it can't be about us owning each other. No more hiding behind love. You change. Give the artists back their money so they can take care of their families." Mase was not the only one who found Diddy's speech to be hypocritical. Sauce Money, a rapper who penned Diddy's hit song, "I'll Be Missing You," took to his social media to call Diddy out on his business practices. On Twitter, he wrote, "He practices the same backdoor politics against his own people, him and his friend Jay-Z. If the Grammys on the clock, then y'all are too." In an interview, Sauce Money discussed his experience working with Puff. "When I wrote 'I'll Be Missing You' for Puff, he did bad business with Sting, meaning that before he got clearance to use the record, he put the record out. So Sting came back and was like, 'Okay, well, since you used the record before you got clearance, I want all the publishing off the record.'" Sauce Money continued, "At the end of the day, Puff didn't care because he was making the money off the physical sales. He had a single release and an album release, so he ate a few times off of that record. So it didn't really matter to him." Sauce Money alleges to have missed out on $4 million in residuals off of "I'll Be Missing You." He said that song generates about $730,000 a year. So you figure 10% of that is $73,000, and 20% of it is $146,000. You multiply that by 24, 25. So if I had a problem with him, you can understand, right? "I'll Be Missing You" spent 11 weeks at #1 in 1997, which was a record for a hip-hop song at that time. It won a Grammy and went 3 times platinum. In direct response to Mase's Instagram post, Sauce Money said, "Can you imagine how many Mases there are out here? People that have been wrong for years and are too afraid to speak up for fear of further backdoor politics, or scared to be labeled a hater or clout chaser, because these guys have money, stature, and public adoration. Everybody ain't a hater. Some people are just tired of the hypocrisy." And it was true. Mase did have label mates that echoed his feelings about business at Bad Boy. R&B group 112 began to speak out around the same time about their dissatisfaction with how they were handled by the label. Q from 112 told TMZ, "I get where Mase is coming from, because I'm in the same situation. However, it's a contract. We signed, we were teenagers, and legally, he did nothing wrong." Q implored other artists to know what they're signing in regards to their contracts. The Atlanta natives have said that the politically correct answer for why they left Bad Boys was because of the lack of money and attention. However, the Peaches and Cream singers told MTV that the real reason was because their contract was doo-doo. Bad business with Bad Boy didn't stop in the 90s. Danity Kane, the girl group founded through Diddy's Making the Band reality series in 2005, has also spoken out about why things didn't work out for them. According to Don Richard, the group was doomed from the start, with the lack of money and support from Diddy and the label being the main reason. Even with worldwide promotion from hit series with high ratings, Diddy was still not convinced that the group would thrive. So much so that, according to Don, Diddy put a stop to the label producing physical copies of the album for its debut release because he didn't think it would sell. In a radio interview with Unchained, Don revealed, "When we first came out, they said only do 100,000 copies because they won't sell more than Cassie. We sold 100,000 in a day, and they had to figure out how to get more units by the time the week ended, and they barely got it. We ended up selling 230,000 copies in the first week, and we could have sold more." In an interview with The Breakfast Club, DJ Envy asked the group members, Aubrey and Shannon, "Y'all didn't make any money?" To which Aubrey responded, "We had 2 platinum albums, let alone grossed over $1 million on Christina Aguilera's Back to Basics tour opening for her, and we came off of that tour $15,000 in debt." So maybe Loon was onto something when he said that the issue with Bad Boy label was having a CEO who was also an artist, especially one as headstrong as Diddy. Danity Kane ultimately felt that Diddy was more focused on the reality show rather than their actual music careers. And they aren't the only ones who felt slighted by the No Way Out superstar. Bad Boy's first lady and Grammy Award-winning R&B singer Faith Evans told MTV that she ultimately left Bad Boy because she didn't feel like a priority and wasn't growing professionally. The easiest way to put it is, Puff had a lot going on, she explained. He still does. I think it's a beautiful thing. He's like a conglomerate now, but there was such a change in circumstance from the time I signed. I can't say I was able to fully benefit from the hype and popularity and success of Bad Boy. It certainly set me up well, and I did achieve success. But everybody wants to get better. I want to sell more records. I want to reach more people. Evans said she was convinced that she had to leave Bad Boy after her last album, 2001's Grammy-nominated Faithfully, received minimum support, and the label transitioned from the distributor Arista to Universal. She said she had to approach P. Diddy directly. He realized he was at a point where he couldn't focus on my project like I needed him to. He made it an easy transition for me. I'll always respect him for not only giving me my first record deal, but not trying to hold me back. Carl Thomas was on Bad Boy for 2 years before his critically acclaimed album Emotionally finally came out. He left because his following LP did not receive the promotion he felt it should. He told DJ Booth in 2007, "In my opinion, Bad Boy is the type of label that is wonderful if you want to break an artist. Now, if you want to sustain a superstar, that may not be the situation for you." It leads us to wonder how so many promising acts have such short-lived careers with Bad Boy. After they have proven to be extremely talented and successful artists, the highs seem so much shorter than the average life they experienced after Bad Boy. When asked about his artist's fleeting success, Diddy responded, "It's a misconception, especially someone who's been brought up like me. I've been brought up to work hard for mine and never take from nobody, and to always try and help people. But people don't understand this game that we're in. You have a short life expectancy. It's rare to be a me, to be a Jay-Z, a Double L, a Nas. That shit is rarity. That's not even 1% of the rappers. If you look at any artists that were on Rough Riders, where they at? If you look at any artist that was on Def Jam at the time we started, where they at? If you look at any artist that was on Rockefeller, Jive, where they at? It's not like anything was wrong with them. It's just that you have a 4 or 5 year average in the game." The biggest issue that past Bad Boy artists seem to have with the label is that they were overlooked and underpaid. The acclaim that they received did not match what they had to show for it at the end. Though many of the artists did reunite with Diddy and were a part of the Bad Boy reunion tour in 2016, there's an undeniable trend of artists having trouble at the label. Ultimately, it goes down to the gang being the game. The so-called slave contracts that these artists sign are unfortunately the industry standard. Whether or not that makes it right is for you to decide. But for a change to happen, it would have to be industry-wide. And with each Rock Nation brunch and toast to black excellence from the elite, that idea seems less and less likely.